What most reviewers don't tell you about Sony cameras. Because no, they are not perfect either. They are not perfect as a camera, but the autofocus is almost perfect. No, I am not a Sony fanboy and I'm not a fanboy of any company. I started to make honest videos about camera issues because there are some things that drive me crazy, like Fujifilm autofocus. If you didn't see it, check my video about Fujifilm X-H2S autofocus on firmware 6.0. And for those who are asking, nope, I didn't return my X-H2S. I love and hate things about any camera. Okay, let's start the Sony rant. Before I bought my Fuji X-H2S, I rented for a couple of days a Sony A7S III. And trust me when I tell you, it is an overrated camera. Yes, it's full frame, yes, it has 120 FPS, slow motion 4K, yes, the autofocus is awesome, but there are a lot of things that suck about Sony cameras. And about the Sony A7S III, at 12,800 ISO, in S-Log 3, I really don't think it's dual gain ISO. I think it's a very good but very aggressive denoising. If you zoom in on the image, you will see that the image looks like a cartoon. Details are lost. For me, it felt like a plastic image. And also, at 12,800 ISO, the image brightness is like 5,000 ISO in the other profiles. And the noise between 5,000 and 10,000, it's unusable. I don't want to put an ND on my lens when I shoot in low light to reach the 12,800 ISO and get a plastic image. Many people are telling you that the EVF on a Sony A7S III is amazing. It was okay, but on my unit, when I maxed out the brightness on the EVF, the whole image had a green tint, a very green and ugly tint. And I also found out some people complaining about the same thing. EVF on the Sony A7S III with a very ugly green tint. So what I was seeing through the EVF was very greenish. Very ugly image. I rented an A7S III and not an FX3 because I needed an EVF on my camera. Anyway, let's go back to my issues with Sony cameras. I now have an A6700 because it's cheap and it has LUTS. And I also like small APS-C lenses. And for my use case, the overheating is not a problem. I'm filming on it right now. But those issues that I'm about to talk about are present in all the latest mid-range and high-end Sony cameras. I think people should know how it is to use the camera, not just the image quality and features. My first big issue is Autowhitebalance. Sony, please tell me, why if I lock the Autowhitebalance and then I shut down and turn on the camera, or I switch to photos, or I even switch a picture profile, the whole white balance resets? You can't do it. I don't understand why. Just save the Autowhitebalance on my SD card if you don't have RAM or memory to save it. Check this out. I lock the white balance. I turn off the camera, turn it on. The Autowhitebalance has been reset. White balance lock, I switch to picture, same stuff. Go back to video, the locked white balance is gone. Even if we change picture profiles, the Autowhitebalance lock will reset. Look how Fujifilm does it. I lock the white balance, turn off the camera, turn on the camera, the white balance is locked at the value I locked it. And if I have white balance set to Autowhitebalance in the custom profiles on the Fujifilm, no matter what you do, the white balance will be locked. When Sony added Autowhitebalance lock toggle, a lot of videos popped up with the title Sony A6400 Autowhitebalance is game changer. No, it's not a game changer. No one is using it because if you turn off the camera, turn it on, the locked white balance will be gone. My Fujifilm X-T3 from 2018 was the same. I lock the white balance, turn off the camera, turn on the camera, is locked at the same value. I switch to pictures, is locked at the same value. I switch to video, is locked at the same value. Second big issue. Sony, you gave us a dial with custom modes. Custom 1, custom 2, custom 3. Remember this word, custom. Why we can set a custom white balance on a custom mode? Custom. It's custom white balance on a custom mode. My brain is melting. We have custom modes 1, 2, 3, but we can't set custom white balance. This is insane. Because I can set a custom white balance on my custom mode, and because my Autowhitebalance lock resets every time wherever I do with the camera, the custom modes are useless for me. Third issue. Sony, why do you need to show us those pop-up messages in this codec every time we switch frame rates? It is very annoying. We all now have computers that can play HEVC files. Fourth issue, Sony. Why we can't use any frame rate, PAL or NTSC? I want to be able to switch from 24 to 25 FPS, from 60 FPS to 50 FPS, from 120 FPS to 100 FPS. Okay, I need to switch the camera from one to the other. But if I switch the camera from NTSC to PAL or PAL to NTSC, the files that I already recorded in the opposite mode can't play in the gallery. What the fuck? It is the same codec. It is the same file type. It's your codec. It's your files. Why I can't play my already recorded PAL files on the same camera if my camera is now on NTSC mode? This is again, look at this. I changed my camera to PAL and now I only have 25, 50 or 100 FPS. But I can't play my files already recorded with the same camera that are 24 FPS or 60 FPS. Unable to display. Fifth issue, Sony. It's 2024. Why your gallery still shows us ugly pixelated thumbnail of our video like 15 years ago on your NEX cameras? It's 2024. Look how videos are shown on a Fujifilm gallery. It is the same quality as the pictures. You can see your first frame from your video perfectly. Sixth issue. Some people don't like shooting in S-Log3. Some people want fast results. We obviously know that S-Log3 has the most dynamic range. But for God's sake, the dynamic range in the creative looks or on the A7SIII profile is horrendous. Your highlights are always blown up. Seventh issue. This is only for the new Sony cameras that support LUTS. Why, Sony? You gave us the option to burn in our LUTs. Give us the option to burn in our LUTs in JPEGs, in picture mode. You let us shoot S-Log3 pictures, but you don't let us burn a LUT over that S-Log3 JPEG. I'm sure that is like a 5-minute coding job in the firmware. This is the only reason why I still have my X-H2S. Because the JPEGs in this camera are trash. Eighth issue. Screen quality, and this is not about my Sony A6700 because it is a very cheap camera and I can't complain about it. But on the Sony A7S III, trust me when I tell you guys, my old Fujifilm X-T3 from 2018 had a better screen than the Sony A7S III. Just give us some better screens. Those are my issues with Sony cameras. I'm sure that you know all the pros about Sony cameras. I just wanted to tell you my experience with the latest Sony cameras and what I hate about them. So now what's my setup? I use my X-H2S for product photography and my A6700 for video because of the autofocus. Right now there's no such thing as a perfect camera for me. And this is my way of telling camera companies to do better. I hope you liked the video.
Subscribe.